Accountability is where everything needs to begin in this world. It's something I say quite often. I certainly never hesitate to hold folks accountable when mistakes or mishaps occur, so I'm certainly not about to run from it myself. I'm fully aware that I've been in the news over the last few days, paraded all over social media as well, after comments I made during my appearance on Fox News' Hannity last week with the one and only Sean Hannity himself. And I'm fully aware of the outcry that has ensued because of it. A lot of folks in Black America seem pretty pissed at me right now, from friends and loved ones to colleagues, contemporaries, and dare I say even the NAACP itself. Quite a few folks were put off, if not flat out offended, after my words were interpreted as associating support for Trump from the Black community with all the legal issues he's facing. For that, I sincerely apologize.
There's a reason I'm starting with that comment before we continue this episode. As always, thank you for sitting at my table. How you doing? This is Black Shy Guy. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you also subscribe and also hit the notification button to get notified to any new videos. As always, thank you for joining me. We are going to discuss a couple of things that's going to lead up to something that I mainly want to talk about that involves Angel Reese. As I showed you in the beginning, that was Stephen A. Smith apologizing for the simple fact that he made a comment towards, let's say, the Black community when it pertains to Trump. Basically stating that we should all feel what Trump is going through when it comes to the legal system. The whole world went chaotic for the simple fact that he tried to sympathize with what Trump is going through and try to tell the Black community that they should sympathize as well. But that's neither here nor there, because what I'm talking about is the fact that policing when it comes to the Black community is just out of control. Because I'm going to dive into another scenario, because Stephen A. Smith is not the main individual in this episode that we are going to discuss, but he is the author. And what I'm trying to say is we have another individual that seems to be policing. Another Stephen is the gatekeeper. Stephen Jackson is the gatekeeper. We cannot say anything at all, or we cannot show support to any white individual over a Black individual.
No, God! No, God, please, no!
Because that is against the law. We should be whipped if we even go against the gatekeeper that is Stephen Jackson. Because Stephen Jackson made a certain comment when it pertains to Gayle King. Stephen Jackson made a comment that it pertains to Gayle King, and this is what Gayle King had to say when it came to her interviewing Dawn Staley when it came to her team playing Caitlin Clark's team.
So happy. The game was such a good game. It was so close at times, and in the end, you guys pulled it out. But was there ever a point during the game when you were worried? Because I got worried. We were all cheering for Iowa, of course, and Caitlin Clark. But for so many people, you've got their hearts.
To so many people, you got their hearts, right? That's what she stated. To so many people, you got their hearts. Let's hear that again.
Iowa, of course, and Caitlin Clark. But for so many people, you've got their hearts.
You hear that? But that wasn't okay with Stephen Jackson. Because for some reason, when Gayle King said, we were cheering for Caitlin Clark and the Iowa team, but you have captured a lot of people's hearts with your team and the way you guys played. Basically, obviously, Gayle King didn't want to take sides, really. Even though she did state that she was going for Caitlin Clark and the Iowa team. But the fact that Gayle King is Black That was against the rules when it comes to the black community, according to Steven Jackson. That was against the rules, because we're going to dive into what Steven Jackson had to say about the whole scenario.
Gayle King's supposed to be somebody that's big in the journalism space, right? And I don't consider her black media. Y'all give her all these passes because she fuck with she's Oprah friend. I don't give a fuck who friend she is. They don't do nothing for nobody. But you cannot demean Dawn Staley like that. You talking to her about winning the championship, about going undefeated, and you have the nerve to get on there and say, well, we was rooting for Caitlin Clark and you broke everybody's hearts. Who is we? Who is we? All the black people I know was rooting for Dawn Staley.
Why does it have to be black people? Gayle King was probably just talking about a majority of different people that involves white, black, Chinese, whatever. She probably was talking about her friends. You don't know who she was talking about, Steven Jackson. You don't know who she was talking about. So the fact that you brung up, it's so laughable. The fact that you brung up black people, and then later on you try to walk it back and say, I wasn't talking about color, was kind of laughable. Because if you wasn't talking about color, you wouldn't have mentioned the fact that all the black people I know was rooting for Dawn Staley. I wasn't rooting for Dawn Staley. So I know you don't know me, but the fact that you're saying every black person I know was rooting for Dawn Staley, it's almost like you're trying to imply that every single black individual was rooting for Dawn Staley, which was not the case. That was not good for Steven Jackson. That was not a good look for Steven Jackson whatsoever. But obviously, good looking out for Whitlock. Whitlock called them out. Whitlock just called them out, put them on blast. And this is what he had to say about Whitlock. I mean, because remember, when you don't have a good rebuttal, when you can't bring a very civilized conversation and try to rebuttal it in a very intellectual way, you resort to name calling. And that's what Steven Jackson has resorted to.
And the brown nosing for the hating minority part of the world. That's what you do. You give people confidence to hate. I guess it's not racist when the black man said, huh? And that's not being a free thinker or being free-minded. You just a sucker, and you've been a sucker. And you find a way to demean people to get attention. But nobody watch your show, bro. You're not a part of the culture. And I hate I even addressed you because you probably can't even hear me because you're somewhere breathing hard trying to get up the steps. Facts.
So obviously he's resulting in insulting Whitlock. He's not even bringing any type of weight to the conversation. He's just going into insults, which is laughable. So now, if you're black and you mention anything about going against the grain, against the community that I don't know Steven Jackson is speaking for, because he doesn't speak for my community, but he's the gatekeeper nonetheless. It's against the law. So Gayle King was entirely wrong for stating that she was rooting for Caitlin Clark. She did not demean Dawn Staley whatsoever in that interview. She did not demean her at all. Obviously, Dawn Staley didn't look offended, so I don't know why Steven Jackson was so offended for the fact that she stated that she was going for Caitlin Clark, but despite her going for Caitlin Clark, she caught, Dawn Staley and her team caught the hearts of many people. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that, which brings me to the main focus of this entire conversation. Angel Reese has tweeted out, and let's see if anybody tries to gatekeep her. Angel Reese has tweeted out, protect girls sports. That's basically what Angel Reese tweeted out. She basically tweeted out on April 22nd, 9:20 a.m., stating, protect young woman sports. It was viewed 2.4 million times. It was 9:20 a.m. when she tweeted that. Obviously, she's talking about the very thing that Dawn Staley refused to answer accordingly. Because when they asked Dawn Staley, should men participate? Well, transgender, they're men. I don't care what anybody says. If men should participate in women's sports, Dawn Staley could not go against the grain. So Dawn Staley decided to go with the grain. She said, yes, if you consider yourself a woman, then you should compete, which obviously involves a lot of transgender individuals who declare themselves as women that will compete against women, which basically puts women at a big disadvantage. Nobody wants to see a man in the WNBA. And the fact that Angel Reese, another individual whose jersey sold out, by the way, her jersey sold out right after Caitlin Clark's. So she's a big impact. And not only that, Angel Reese was looking good in that draft night. So I'm just saying, I just had to throw that out. I just had to throw that out there. Relax. But anyway, Angel Reese putting that statement out there. I wonder if she's going to stand by it. Because like the video we showed before this episode started, Stephen A. Smith quickly apologized when the whole mob went against him. When the whole mob went against him, he quickly apologized for that Trump statement. Gayle King, obviously, I'm not sure if she apologized or not. She has no reason to apologize to Dawn Staley for that statement she made. And she has no reason to apologize to any community that Steven Jackson made. With Steven Jackson, I don't know what community he's talking about, because to me, he's a bad influence. If you guys never seen that video that Whitlock showed, shout out once again to Whitlock, when he was chilling with these young boys talking all this gangster shit. I mean, he's not a good influence anyway. So I don't care what he says. I mean, when he talks, it's blabber. I mean, I'm not saying he never does good things for the community, but what he stands for as of late when it comes to the political side of things in this country, I'm not for it. I'm not with it, because he's just out there. But anyway, let me know what you think, and let me know if you think Angel Reese will stand her ground, because Angel Reese stands her ground. This can shift the whole narrative when it comes to the WNBA, because obviously we all know that the WNBA threads on masculinity. Now with these girls that were represented in the 2024 draft represents a lot of feminine activity, which will change the course of the WNBA, which is looking pretty good if you ask me. Let me know what you think. This is Black Shy Guy, and as always, thank you for sitting at my table. I'm out of here. Peace.
Arch criminal who must be put away. Another innocent victim of a suicidal maniac.